Hey everybody, welcome back to Jay's Fifth Down and Football Podcast. I'm your host Jaden, once again here to talk some NFL football with you as we are back from our Thanksgiving breaks and everybody's stuffed on turkey and all that kind of stuff, and we got football and we're in the best part of the football season because we're getting close to playoff time. Only 5 more games left in the regular season, so this is the time of year where you really get to distinguish who are the real teams at this point and who's going to compete, and what teams have the best chance of winning a championship, right? Or making to that point, to the big game. So I really love this time of year as a football fan myself, and watching the game. I know the guys love playing at this time of year, especially whether all levels, whether it's high school, college, or the NFL, because it's playoff time at all three. Well, it's not the NFL, but it's close to that time of year in the NFL level, and you're already at playoff time with high school and college. So it's always a fun time of the year when you get to November and it's football season, and it's cold outside, and your team's got to run football, and stuff like that, and it's that physical time of the season, and so this is what I love about it. But so I'm going to recount a couple of interesting NFL games that are having some big implications in the playoff race. Yesterday over the weekend, and got another good game tonight with the Steelers and the Colts on Monday Night Football on ESPN, 8:15 Eastern Time. You guys can catch that there. But I want to first get off on the Raiders here. They've been struggling over the course of the season. Entering last week's game against the Broncos, they were 2-7. All their losses were one-score games. So they come in, they beat Denver 30-24. They get the win there off a walk-off Devontae Adams touchdown. And then they come in here playing. They come in there and they get the 40-34 win yesterday over the Seattle Seahawks. And Josh Jacobs had a big game on the ground. The former Alabama Crimson Tide running back, 229 rushing yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, 6 receptions for 74 yards coming out the backfield. Just a great game for him. I love how he hit the holes. He was aggressive, in his running, as he always has been, and he always will be. He's a very aggressive runner, and just getting those dirty yards and just able to the elusiveness between the tackles, and he got the game-winning touchdown in overtime for Las Vegas. Derek Carr handed the ball off to him, and he ran just straight up through the middle. Touchdown, I think it was 86 yards, untouched, goes into the end zone, and and just a great game winner. So the Las Vegas gets the win there against Seattle. Seattle falls to 6-5 on the year, and the Raiders now move to, I believe, 4-7. So interesting, very interesting game there. Especially with the NFC playoff implications, because the NFC West is a little tight right now. Obviously you got the 49ers up there, who got the win over the Saints yesterday, and then you got the Seattle Seahawks, who are kind of slipping a little bit. They're 6-5. Arizona Cardinals, they're hanging around in there too. So it's interesting. It's very interesting here, and they got the win yesterday as well. So. But yeah, it just overall, I think this is the time. This is a good time of year, and this is probably the most competitive the NFL has probably been in quite some time. We said it last year, but we kind of figured that with the Rams, and but nobody expected the Bengals to go to the Super Bowl, but they end up going in. So I think the parity that the NFL is reaching over the past couple of years has really brought some. Rejuvenated the game a little bit more. Obviously it's not the Patriots every single year, or it's not the Bucks, right, or the Chiefs. It's more teams that are competitive now. Teams have gotten better. They've gotten more talented. They've got these better players on their roster. The coaches are improving. Getting better. So it just creates a fun league to watch. It's from that aspect, you get into the nitty grittiness of it, like, all the penalties and like the roughing the passer calls and things like that, where it makes it, the NFL's okay. Are we gonna start playing two-hand touch soon? Like, what's going on? But for the most part, football, the football this year for the National Football League has been very fun to watch, and these teams have been very fun to watch them compete. Then you got the Jets continuing to win. They got the win over the Bears yesterday. Justin Fields was injured, shoulder injury he sustained in the loss against Atlanta last week, and so they get the win. yeah, the Jets get the win. Mike White was the starting quarterback for New York, and though Jets fans are very familiar with that name, a household name there with the Jets. He came in relief for Zach Wilson. Got the start over Zach Wilson yesterday. As you know, of course, last week with the loss, the New York failed to manage any type of fluid offense. And Zach Wilson was a big part of that. And Robert Saleh decided to make the quarterback change and put in Mike White as the starter, and he delivered. So, great deal there for New York. Good, so kudos to them. Good win for them, and they continue to have a over 500 record for the first time in a while. So hey, look at the Jets. Giants as well. They lost against the Cowboys on Thanksgiving, but they're down a lot of cornerbacks and up down. Evan Neal, their star tackle that they drafted in the NFL draft this past April from Alabama, he didn't play either. So, Giants were dealing with a couple of key injuries. But then again, that's no excuse in the NFL, next man up mentality. And fortunately for the Giants, that next man up wasn't much better than what they were going out there originally with. And so the Cowboys just kind of smoked them with that. And they improved to 8-2 on the season. So they just winning football that Dallas is continuing to play. In an NFC East division that for the first time in a while is very competitive. Washington football team, of course, got a win over the Falcons yesterday, so they moved to 7-5 on the year, and they're just playing good football right now. And they're continuing to play good football, competitive. D-line playing nasty and physical, and that's what you want to see. And Brian Robinson continuing to show why he was taken with the Commanders there. Running back, another out of Alabama. Again, he's just another Crimson Tide player on that Washington team, along with Deron Payne and all those guys up there, right? And so, and it's really just interesting to me, like how things can change, within a team. Like the whole retrospect of it can change when you decide to switch something out, like whether it's a quarterback or or whoever it is, like it can really change how. And when Carson Wentz was benched in relief for Heineke, you can see that this switch kind of flipped for Washington. They started playing better than they already were, even though they were playing okay. But then again, you got a quarterback who's coming in who's played in big games for Washington before, especially in the playoffs against the Bucks in 2020. He came down there and made a competitive game against Tampa Bay, even though they lost, but it was competitive. And Heineke's just a dude. He's a strong dude. He's tough. Type of quarterback who's been around, bounced around a little bit, so that he's been through that adversity. And so you want guys like that because they're able to when the challenge hits them, they're not completely struck back by it. They're going to fight it and they're going to embrace that challenge, right? And so that's the thing that I love about Taylor Heinicke as a quarterback, and you got to have that in the NFL, because if you don't have that mentality and that mindset, it'll be very hard for you to win football games that, that present a little bit of a challenge. And so you have to be able to win those games. So before we get continue to go through yesterday's recap, a couple key injury notes. Aaron Rodgers left the Sunday Night Football matchup with the Eagles last night with a rib injury. X-rays showed that there's no punctured lungs, and he will continue to undergo more testing, according to ESPN's Adam Schefter. As well, Darnell Mooney, star wide receiver for the Chicago Bears, who is continuing to have a promising season, is out for the rest of the season with an ankle injury. So they're very, very sad news there for Bears fans. And, I really like Darnell Mooney. I think he's very talented. I think he's going to be a really good receiver in this league very soon. He's already establishing himself to that point. He's supposed to really be the number one guy there in Chicago for Fields, but he's out for the rest of the season with an ankle injury, so looking to make a recovery on that. And Deshaun Watson has been activated to the Browns' 53-man roster, so he is looking to play against the Texans on Sunday. That's the plan. So as the Browns travel to Houston, Watson will make his debut, his season debut, after, of course, severing the suspension to face his former team, the Houston Texans. So take with that what you will. So that'll be interesting, to say the least. But what I really wanted to talk about here was like the Denver Broncos. 23-10 loss against the Carolina Panthers, a team they faced in the Super Bowl some years ago. I think 7 years ago in the Super Bowl. no, the Panthers come, they just come in, they get the win. And Denver again, the offense just continuing to struggle, right? I mean, even got support from Mike Purcell, very journeyman NFL defensive lineman. He got in Russell Wilson's face. You guys probably seen the video on Twitter and whatever. He got in Russell Wilson's face. He's like, hey man, what's going on? Like, you need to come on, let's get rolling here, And Wilson just looks at him like, okay, like probably said, let's ride, or something like that. Hopefully not, because he probably got a, beating in the locker room. Let's hope that didn't happen. Anyway, but yeah, it was just a great, win for the Panthers there as they continue to try to establish some type of rhythm there on that team and just get the morale right in Carolina. So, but unfortunately for Denver, they fall again, and Nathaniel Hackett and Russell Wilson continue to be the face. Look, when you're the head coach of a team and you're the quarterback of a franchise, like you're going to get you're going to be the scapegoats, right? You're going to, because you're the face of that franchise. You're going to get all that attention and all of that blame and everything. It's going to go fall with you, the head coach and the quarterback, Nathaniel Hackett and Russell Wilson. And we'll be honest here on this podcast. I've always been a big fan of Russell Wilson ever since he came into the NFL back in 2012 with the Seattle Seahawks. Of course, it's a guy who's a Super Bowl winner. MVP candidate. He's been throughout his career, played great football, but and he gets traded to Denver this year. But the expectations like, hey, you know what? This roster, we're going to come along, we're going to come in, make this competitive team, make this team very competitive, and hopefully get to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl. Like that's my goal. I'm the quarterback who's going to be able to do it, and and that bringing Nathaniel Hackett. You guys work with Aaron Rodgers, and he's it's like that, bring that offensive mindset there into Denver, and finally got a quarterback, and Broncos country's like, hey, you know what? We might do something this year. And that wasn't the case. It's not been the case so far. It's actually quite been the opposite, and they've struggled very much to move the ball up and down the field with any kind of consistency. And that's what I've noticed, And Russell Wilson is a big part of it, But also receivers aren't getting open. Offensive line is not playing very well either. They've had issues in the backfield. Of course, they used Javonte Williams to a season-ending injury. That's never good. And overall, it's just not. The team is lost. There's no sense of direction here. I don't know what's going on actually inside the facility, in the locker room, but as far as I know, it just doesn't make any sense. Russell Wilson not playing up to par like he has played so far in his career, and it's hurting the Broncos, and also Nathaniel Hackett with a bunch of questionable coaching decisions that he's made throughout his tenure here, his first season in Denver. So, I just don't get it, man. I don't, you trade for a quarterback like that. You give Seattle those draft picks, those 3 players, and you bring back Russell Wilson. And sign him to that big contract extension. With the hopes, of course, that he would bring that pizzazz to this offense, but it just has not manifested yet. And I don't know if it ever will, considering what's going on. You're 12 weeks into the season, and you still have not figured it out. This you're at a point now where you're the Broncos where this is unacceptable. You should have gotten this figured out like at least 3 or 4 weeks ago. I understand the early first 4 or 5 game struggles, right? You're going to have that new coach, new quarterback, new offense. He's trying to get used to his guys that he has out there out wide, and all the playbook and those things of that nature. But you're 12 weeks into the season, you're still having the same critical errors that were plaguing you in week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, so on. That just doesn't make any sense. It shows that there's no sign of progression. No sign of improving. And I always talk about like every day is an opportunity to grow and improve and get better, right? And these guys think of it the same way, especially in the NFL. Like you have to continue to grow. You have to continue to grow and get better and improve each and every day. Just one step faster, just 1% better, just getting better, improving, and just just growing, right? And that's the thing. But the Broncos are not growing. They are not growing this year. They haven't really grown to this point, and it's just a matter of, and I don't know exactly what it is. So that'll be interesting to look out for the rest of the season. But they're on life support, and they need to get it fixed quickly before, So then next note, they had the Eagles get the 40-33 win over the Packers on Sunday Night Football last night. This Green Bay scored 33 points. I think that's the most they've scored this whole season. So, hey, the offense is continuing to get better. See, now with the Packers, you're seeing the improvement with the offense, right? They were struggling earlier in the year. Get wide receivers, Aaron Rodgers, rookie wide receivers, pretty much, right, for the most part, and they're struggling to get that established connection. But they're continuing to show signs of life and improvement, and the offense is continuing to get better, and so that's what you want to see if you're a head coach, if you're Matt LaFleur, if you're those guys in the front office, like, hey, you know what? We're getting there. We're improving. We're getting better. We expected something like this to happen, but these guys want to make sure these guys are out there trying to improve and get on the field and continue to just get better in everything they need to do. However, the Eagles also coming off of a loss, or a win rather against the Colts, but that big win against the Colts. They want to continue to winning ways. They moved to 10-1 on the year. They rushed for 363 yards. That's 363 rushing yards. Jalen Hurts had 157 rushing yards by himself as a quarterback. Miles Sanders had over 100 yards rushing. So great effort there put by the quarterback and the running back in the backfield, just continuing to dice up that defense with the run game, the option. So Jalen Hurts is showing that he's improving. And he's a guy that he's going to continue to get better and be a top quarterback in this league if he's not already. I still think he has a while before he gets there, but he's making strides. And so that's what you want to see if you're Nick Sirianni, if you're Howie Roseman, if you're those guys in that front office, Jeffrey Lurie, that you get to see that your quarterback that you put your stock into, your faith into, that you drafted a couple years ago is now starting to emerge. He's starting to hit that point. And that's a good thing. And so the Eagles again moved to 10-1 on the season. They're playing great football. This is a time of year, like I mentioned in the open here in the podcast. This is the time of year where you have to be able to be physical, and you have to be able to control the line of scrimmage and just get those yards, those tough, gritty yards when you need it. Especially now when you get to the playoffs, you're gonna have to be able to throw the ball as well. They're not the teams are not gonna let you run over the field willy nilly. So I think that the Eagles have to continue to work on that. Philadelphia has got to continue to improve that aspect. Jalen Hurts has got to continue to improve his passing as well, because he will be forced to throw once he reaches the playoffs. So that'll be something to watch out for as well. But other than that, it's been a very interesting season so far. Like I said, I'm impressed with a lot of teams. Even the Jaguars got a win yesterday. So who knows, right? It's the parity. We always say the parity is what makes it interesting, and that's why I love that. It's a very competitive league this year. Except for the NFC South. But other than that, it's very competitive. And so moving forward, I just look forward to see how that's going. Even the Rams, they've been struggling this year. They lost to the Chiefs 26-10 yesterday. Matthew Stafford was hurt, however, and Cooper Kupp is hurt as well. So you kind of expected something like this to happen. But the Rams just need to get everybody healthy. And, I think at this point, you're looking forward to next season and, seeing what moves probably need to be made and, things of that nature. So Allen Robinson also is out with an injury for the rest of the season. Just remember that. So that's another guy added to the injury list. So he is out for the rest of the year with an ankle injury, I believe it is. So tough loss there for the Rams and Allen Robinson. So he is out. But so far, yeah, like I said, guys, you can catch the Colts and the Steelers tonight on Monday Night Football. Kenny Pickett, Mike Tomlin, and the Philadelphia and the Pittsburgh Steelers take on the Indianapolis Colts. Jeff Saturday, Matt Ryan, those guys tonight on Monday Night Football, 8:15 Eastern Time on ESPN and streaming on the ESPN app. You guys can catch that there. And we will see you again on the podcast later this week. Thank you.